Lovelies! Today I'm going to be drawing Raven and Starfire. You can see I already have my sketch laid out with their poses and everything, and what I've done is I've already gone and done the line work on a separate layer as well. I personally like to keep my sketch layer and line art layer separate. I'm sure as you'll see through this, I tend to be very organized when it comes to my layers. That's just what works for me personally. And so now that I have my sketch layer and my line art layer, what I'm going through and doing on screen right now is I'm changing up the width and weight of my lines. This definitely brings the characters more to life. I find that when I just do traditional line art without any weight to it, it just feels like lines on a paper. There's no weight to it, there's no shape to it. It's very dull and boring and has been a struggle for me constantly. And so recently what I've started doing is adding more weight to some of my lines. And you'll see that I focus on lines that are underneath. So anything at the bottom of something. So on the hair here, anything that is on top, I'm not really highlighting as much, but anything on the bottom, anything that faces gravity, I'm adding a little bit more weight to it. And I'm doing that by using a slightly wider brush stroke here. The other thing I'm doing is adding in like other details, kind of help give it shape. I love long hair, very playful, always fun to maybe get like a couple extra hair loops in there, and just to bring it more to life with more texture and division. That's just a personal choice, honestly. I have a tendency to zoom in and out a lot, and then what I wanted to do here was kind of clean up some of that sketch line, so I just have my line art now. Something else you'll see me doing is going into corners and using more weight there as well. Anytime I have two lines that interconnect, I like to sort of make a little triangle in the corner just to provide it with more weight. The more lines that intersect in the same spot, the more triangles I put there, the more weight it brings. When it's just line art at this phase, it can kind of look dense and a little weird, but once I start adding color underneath, it definitely helps freshen up everything. So I like it at the very least. Today I'm drawing Starfire and Raven. They're two characters very dear to me. When I originally sketched out this piece, I had actually just lost my childhood best friend, and it was pretty hard for me, and I wanted to remember her in a number of different ways, and the first piece of art I did was Winx Club. You can find that on my Instagram and Tumblr, link in the description. And that was very therapeutic for me. It was very nice to do that. We used to watch Winx Club a lot together when we were younger. Same thing with TeenTitans, of course. And there was definitely a bond, I think, between Starfire and Raven and the Winx Club girls that in a lot of ways mirrored my relationship with my friend. I chose this pose because it definitely says friendship, but there's also a level of comfort here. They're very close, but also they're floating, which I think is a nice way to show freedom and comfort and the things that come from having a best friend. I do jokingly say that they're gal pals because there is some flirtationship between them, both in the original kids show as well as comics. If you've read the comics, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, here I'm doing just a base color. What I like to do is get a layer underneath my line art and just kind of select the large blocks of color, and then take a brush tool and just kind of color in there. By selecting the block that I want to color in, it helps give me freedom that I know I'm not going to color outside of my lines. And the way that I go about selecting that block is I use the selection tool and I select it, and then I go up to the top and I click edit and just kind of expand that selection by like 1 or 2 pixels, just to get underneath the line art to really make sure everything's filled out. It's not 100% perfect. Every now and then I have to go in a little bit more and fill in any blank spots. I don't believe that I did it here, but one thing that I do sometimes is I make the background like a different color, like a red or a gray is usually pretty neutral, just to see if I have anything, any section that I'm missing or, forgot to fill in. I should do a lot more with color theory, but that's not something, my background's on art, and so that's not something that I have a lot of experience with. And so you'll see me a lot of the time just kind of going into the color tool and just kind of picking colors at random, moving it around to determine if I want, more red, more purple, more green, more blue. To me, colors, this is entirely personal, but colors have like a personal, emotional connection to them. And so the balance of using like a red or purple versus a pink or red to me says very different things. The other thing I also look for is, how dull do I want this color over by the grayscale versus how vibrant do I want it. Again, I have more to learn on color theory. What I'm doing here is trying different backgrounds. I was thinking about Starfire's powers and maybe going green, and I'm just trying to figure that out on what I want to do. And right now I have the entire thing outlined because I'm gonna go ahead and put a border around them to help keep them separate from the background. I was feeling a little overwhelmed with the background, and thought that putting a white border around them. And now you can see I decided I didn't really like the green so much, but there's a lot of pinks and purples in this. And so I think I found the perfect pink color that really, really stands by their friendship, just female friendship in general. Maybe not so much like Raven's personality, but just that bubbly sort of fun that comes from being a girl and being friends. And I started handwriting gal pals as a joke of, flirtationship versus friendship. And I realized I didn't like my handwriting, and so now I'm playing around with different typefaces. Ignore that. It's a whole process, man. I found one that I thought was kind of playful, and so I went with it. And here's the final product. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to check out my page and let me know what other characters you want to see. Have a great day, friends!